Hey everyone, my name's Gabby. I'm the educator here at BloomingWithinEducation, and welcome to my channel. So this is kind of me starting my career after having kids. I knew after my first that this was the direction I wanted to go in. When I became pregnant with him, I just became absolutely fixated on pregnancy and childbirth and breastfeeding and how to care for babies. I had known babies. I had known them really well. I loved caring for babies. I've been babysitting since I was 12 years old. But I just wanted to make sure that I did everything I possibly could for this creature and knew everything for him to help, grow him and grow him on the inside and the outside. And it ended up being more than that. It felt so ridiculously interesting to me that in the moment, I couldn't tell if this was a career or just because I was so in love with the baby inside of me. Then I had my birth. I had terrible back labor that I was not prepared for, and I was a lacrosse goalie, so I could take some pain, but nothing can compare to that. And I wasn't prepared for that pain, and I wasn't prepared for what I went through. It took forever. For some reason, my waters never break. I'll talk about the next birth of that one as well. My water didn't break, they had to break it. They had to give me Pitocin because nothing was progressing. I had long labor. And then it was finally time to push, and it took me 90 minutes for nothing to happen. I ended up with a C-section. It was not an emergency, but my son's cord was wrapped around his neck multiple times. So I feel very lucky, and I wouldn't have a different birth because if I gave birth, who knows what could have happened to him or myself. But it was not how I planned it to be. And those days in the hospital were nothing I was prepared for. And luckily, I was at my parents' house for that postpartum. So even though it was hard, I had a lot of help. Then, 8 years later, a lot more research, a random post on our hospital's Facebook page about childbirth, educator classes, and I went and got my course. And then I couldn't really go forward with it because COVID hit, not even 6 months later. So as I started to kind of start my page and work things up, COVID happened. So I had to put everything on halt, and then I ended up in 2022 getting pregnant. And I found out, which was very planned. We took our birth control out, felt very ready. I've done extremely more research and, obviously a little bit of a veteran mom and going through a birthing experience that wasn't planned. I didn't really have any expectations, but then I found out I was pregnant with twins. No, we do not have it in our family. It's very random. I had a die-dye pregnancy, which means 2 placentas and 2 sacs. So essentially it was 2 eggs and 2 sperms. We never got the DNA test, so I don't know if they're identical or fraternal, but by the looks of them, they're fraternal. They're definitely die-dye. Probably 2 eggs, not one. Because technically, you can have die-dye and the eggs split in the very beginning, which I wouldn't have known if I didn't have twins. But, there it goes again, pregnancy giving me another whammy of thinking that I know exactly what I'm going in for and then being totally blindsided with something different. It is a pregnancy like no other. It's about the same thing, but a lot more intense. And I'm sure the more children you have in you, the even more intense it can get for people that have more than just 2 babies in them. Luckily, the birth was extremely healing from my first birth. I was able to have a VBAC. I had a 4-hour labor. They came quick and in a hurry, but they came at 35 weeks and 6 days, which isn't necessarily too early with twins, but they had to be sent to the children's hospital. And we were going to go together, but because of my labor going so quick, I didn't have a choice, and I had to give birth there. It was time. My twin A was coming out when she checked me, and I feel extremely lucky that I was able to do that birth. I still had an epidural, but I feel very lucky that I was able to do that birth the way that I did. Because of how my body healed in between the first and the second birth, how my C-section was, how my pregnancy was, all of these factors, how my birth was, all of these factors made it so the very next day I was able to go up and see them. Now, it could have been something completely different, and I could have been in that hospital stuck for days and not see them. But either way, not being able to hold my babies or really see them for the first 24 hours was absolutely horrible. And for the next time for me to see them was in the NICU, and my twin B had some serious breathing issues, and twin A was so small that he just couldn't eat or regulate his temperature on his own, and same thing with twin B. But it was something completely unexpected. When they were born, they didn't do very good on the APGAR score, and that's what concerned everybody. And when I saw them, literally after I saw them come out of me, they were with breathing tubes and headed up to our children's hospital 45 minutes away. Again, I feel really lucky. I feel very lucky for the team, knowing that my body was okay, while also knowing that if something were to happen, I would be in the best hands in the other hospital. And being in the NICU and having that kind of experience, regardless of my birth being so magical, it's still something that I have a hard time dealing with, and I still have triggers, and I still have moments of sadness, and it's hard for me to even look back at that time, because it wasn't just a few days. It was a few weeks, and it was 3 weeks, and when I came home, it was the first few months were some of the hardest thing, and I thought I had prepped for postpartum depression so well because I had damn near postpartum psychosis with my first. And it went on for 9 months without getting any help. And this time I had a plan with every professional that I was working with, and I still am working with, and, you know, all my family members, and I knew the signs. And luckily, because of that, I was able to get help very quickly. By the time the boys were 8 weeks old, I was fully on medication and regularly back at therapy again. And I was staying somewhere else for extra support, because postpartum depression with the NICU stay, the PTSD, and coming home to twins with only having 1 week of my husband was absolutely treacherous. But either way, again, I felt like I was prepared, and nothing can compare you for this. And this time around with the twins, I don't have the support like I did the first time. I don't. There are a few people in my life that do, but truthfully, people don't know how to handle twins, and my twins are colicky, which makes everything 10 times worse. And it's a very lonely experience. And through my experience, I have noticed sharing that I do on the internet, people out there completely get where I'm coming from not only having multiples, but also colicky children, and also not having the right support. And ultimately, only having professionals really having your back besides a very small group of individuals, which is just not how it should be. It's not how it was meant to be. And thanks to the 50s and 60s, life totally flipped and changed. But it's not how it should be. And I just want to continue to educate people, because I can't create a community where people are there for you and giving you meals, but I can at least offer my own services of education, and eventually down the line I can be a postpartum and a childbirth doula once I'm able to pay for those courses, breastfeeding lactation consultant, and eventually a traveling midwife to help ease the burden of healing after childbirth, and educating you on all of these things that I had to educate myself on and look things up myself on, from extreme risks to what's happening week by week to what to prepare for your birth, and to go in knowing that there's only so much you can prepare for with any of it. And so I hope that's at least what you get out of this. And I'll have a Facebook page, an Instagram, and a YouTube. My Facebook page and YouTube will be where I'll be posting the full videos. For now, I will be offering one-on-one classes online and eventually in person. And like I said, I'm using this to be able to eventually get my doula and offer those services for now. So thanks for being here, and thanks for watching.